Hi, I'm Stephen Ewashkiw from Adventure Yoga. Thanks for joining me for class today. This is a yoga practice for people with low blood pressure. If that's you, perfect, you're in the right spot. When you have low blood pressure, it's recommended that you don't bring your head below your heart. And we actually do that quite a bit in yoga. So I've modified today's practice so that there is none of that. If you've got high blood pressure, this class will also be good for you. There's just one warning. When you have high blood pressure, they recommend you don't bring your arms up above your head. And there are a couple of poses at the beginning where we do that. So when I ask you to stretch your arms up, if you've got high blood pressure, keep your arms at your sides or place your hands on your waist, and then you can still do the work. I'm going to have you start seated today, so I'd like you to sit on something. If sitting on the ground isn't comfortable, you can sit on a chair. And if you're going to sit on the ground, please have something under your hips to sit on. I'm going to use a bolster, but you can also use a folded up blanket or a cushion or a thick book or even a yoga block if you've got one of those. So grab something to sit on, sit down, and I will meet you there in just a few seconds. Please sit comfortably. If sitting on the ground isn't comfortable for you, you can sit in a chair. That's totally fine. If sitting on the ground is okay, I recommend you sit on something underneath your hips. So I'm going to use this bolster. I'm going to pop that underneath my butt and sit on it. But if you don't have a bolster, that's fine. You can sit on a folded up blanket, you can sit on any sort of cushion, or even a thick book, or a yoga block. Having your pelvis lifted a little bit is going to help you get some passive hip opening, but it's also going to help you find length for your spine. So wherever you're sitting, sit up tall. Look down at the ground. Relax your gaze. And breathe through your nose. If you can't breathe through your nose today, simply breathe through your mouth. Lengthen your breath a little bit. Often in our yoga practice, we work with a particular breath pattern or control of our breath. Today, I'm just going to ask you to be aware of your breath. Especially when you're dealing with blood pressure issues, if you exercise and hold your breath, it can make those issues more complicated or worse. So breathing is important, of course, but breathing while you're exercising is really important. And as we do things that are harder for us, for our brain and our body, there can be a tendency to hold your breath. So we start here by focusing on our breath. These next few exercises you can do on the ground or in a chair. Look forward. Take your right hand onto the ground beside you or onto the side of your chair. Stretch your left arm up, reach up, push down through your hips and side bend to the right. Bend your right elbow a little so that you have a little more space to side bend. Push through your right hand and stretch through your left hand. And breathe. Stretch through your whole left side. Push down through your left hip, reach out through your left fingers. One more breath here. Push through your right hand to come up through center and bring your left hand down onto the ground or onto the side of the chair. Stretch your right arm up and side bend to the left. Push down through the right side of your hips. Stretch out through your right fingers and really get a nice long stretch for your right side. Again, you can bend your left elbow to give yourself a little more space for your side bend. Steady your breath. One more breath here. Push with your left hand and come up to center. Take your left hand above your right knee. Take your right hand onto your lower back. If you're sitting on a chair and the back of the chair is there, you can reach around and touch the back of the chair, or just hold the side of the chair. Sit up tall, look forward. Use your right hand, if you're touching your lower back, to encourage you to sit up tall and twist to the right. Just a little. Just do a gentle twist. It doesn't have to be your most impressive twist. Move your shoulders back, though. That will help get your spine a little more twisted. Sit up tall and find a little more length for your spine. It's important that we find the length in our spine when we're doing twists. If you think about twisting the water out of a wet towel, you get much more if you don't just twist, but also pull and make the towel longer. Same work for your spine. Come back to center. Other side. Take your right hand onto your left knee. Take your left hand onto the side of the chair, onto the back of the chair, or touch your lower back. Look forward, sit up tall, and then twist to the left. Move your shoulders back. That's going to encourage a little more twist. And sit up tall, like you're pulling on that twisted wet towel. It's just to get a little more of that work of opening up, of finding the fluidity, the movement for your spine. That's what the twists are for. And come back to center. Hold the fronts of your knees. And we're going to do something that we call cat-cow, and we're going to do a seated version. So cat, you round your back and stretch it like a cat stretching, and cow, you arch your back. It doesn't look much like a cow like we think of in the West, but it does look a bit like cows that live in Asia. Round your back. Push down with your hands so your shoulders move forward. Move your chin towards your chest and really work to round your back. It doesn't look much like a Halloween cat shape here because we're seated. Often we do this on our hands and our knees, and it does look more like that. And then we'll go into the opposite pose, cow pose. Pull back with your hands, move your shoulders back, lift your chest forward and up, and arch your back. Move your shoulders down, away from your ears. This is cow pose. This is the seated version. And then go back into cat. Round your back, chin towards your chest, shoulders forward. Push with your hands. And inhale into cow. Forward and up, shoulders back and down, pull back with your hands. So here we're stretching the front of our belly and using our back muscles. And then round your back. So we're flexing our belly and stretching our back muscles. Let's do that with our breath a couple times. Exhale here. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. One more of each of these. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And come to neutral. And please stand up. If you're using a prop, move it out of the way, chair or cushion or whatever you're using, move it off to the side. And stand with your feet about hip distance apart, feet straight, so parallel to each other, and stretch your arms at your sides. This is called Tadasana or mountain pose. Take a couple of deep breaths. Work to make your breath steady through the whole breath. Now we're going to do a few shoulder rolls. 3 backward rolls, 3 forward rolls. Lift your shoulders up and roll them back and down. Roll them forward and up and back and down. Do one more like this. Keep breathing. And then we're going to go the opposite direction. Move your shoulders back and up and forward. Do 2 more of those, shoulder rolls. And relax. Keep your feet apart, or if you're feeling like you've got some pretty good balance and steadiness, you can bring your feet together. Narrowing your base just makes balance a little harder. Stretch your arms up overhead, and we'll do another side bend. This time, take your right hand, turn your thumb forward, and grab your left wrist. Stretch up, reach up, push down through your feet, and side bend to the right. So the side bend is called Untitled in Sanskrit, but not very many people call it that when they're teaching. They'll probably just say, do a standing side bend. Think about shortening your right side here. That's going to get you more stretch for your left side. You can even shift your hips over to the left a little. If your legs are together, squeeze them together. And everybody push your feet down, stretch out through your left fingers. Steady your breath. And come up through center. Stretch both hands up. And then hold your right wrist with your left hand. Pull up with your left hand and side bend to the left in Dandasana. Really work to shorten your left side to get that stretch for your right side. If your legs are together, really squeeze them in, and everybody push down through your feet, stretch out through your right fingers. And shift your hips to the right a little bit to get more side bend. Steady your breath. Push through your feet, come up to center, stretch both arms up for a nice balanced stretch, and bring your arms to your sides. Tadasana. We're going to do thigh stretch. For this, you can use the wall for support. So if you would like the wall, have your right hand on the wall, bend your left knee, and grab the top of your foot. If you can't reach your foot, you can always grab a belt or a towel, flip that around your foot so that you can pull onto that. Stretch your left knee down so it's in line with your right knee, so look down. The tendency is going to be for your left knee to be forward because that's less thigh stretch. Instead, have your left knee in line with your right knee. Pull your left foot towards your outer left hip. And if this is enough thigh stretch for you, great, stay here. If you want a little more thigh stretch, think about the very front of your left hip. Push it forward. Lift it up a little. Then you'll maybe be able to feel your left thigh stretching a little more. If you're like, yeah, that's cool, but I could do it a little bit more, Stephen. Great. Move your left knee back a little bit. There you go. Spread your toes on your left foot if you want a little more. Kick your left foot into your left hand a little more if you want more thigh stretch. There's always a way to find the thigh stretch. Keep pushing the front of your left hip forward. As you stay in the stretch, your left quads are going to get a little more open. So you may need to re-engage and re-engage. Yoga is a process of recommitting, of dedicating yourself to whatever it is that you're doing. So just work for that thigh stretch. That's why I think it's important you know what we're going for, not just that we're doing this. Release your leg. Bring your foot down to the ground. If you're using the wall for support, turn around so you can use your other hand at the wall. Bend your right knee and grab your foot. If you're using the prop, the strap or towel around your foot, grab that, flip it around your right foot. Line up your knees with each other. Pull your right heel towards your outer right hip. Towards. You just need to feel your right quads stretching. Push the front of your right hip forward if you need a little more. Move your right knee back if you need a little more. You can also spread your toes in your right foot, get a little more resistance of pulling with your right foot and pulling with your right hand and pushing your right foot into your hand. Keep everybody moving the front of your right hip forward for that thigh stretch. As we're here a little bit longer, your quads might stop stretching. You might relax and forget while you're here. So push the front of your right hip forward. If you need more, move your right knee back a little. Then release your leg. And stand with your feet hip distance apart, parallel to each other. You can stay facing whatever you were. I'm just turning so that you can see me more clearly. So have your feet about hip distance apart, and have your toes roughly pointing straight ahead. Now I'm going to turn again. Tadasana, stretch your arms at your sides and look forward. Steady your breath. We're working to keep our head above our heart this whole class. So bend your knees, but don't fold forward. Bend your knees, stretch your arms forward. Make your arms parallel to the ground. You can do fingers spread or fingers together, whichever feels good for you. So arms forward is a nice counterbalance. Then move your butt back. Stick your butt back behind you and sit a little bit deeper. You'll probably feel your legs here. Your hamstrings have to really work here. Your quads also have to really work here because they help you flex at your hip, at least one of them does. And then stretch your arms up, overhead sort of, but you won't be straight up and down with your upper body or your arms because that's the way anatomy works. Sit deeply. This is called Utkatasana, sometimes called chair pose, but I prefer the name fierce pose, which is actually what Utkata means. It means fierce or intense. And that is how this makes our legs feel. Intense, fierce. Sit a little deeper, move your arms back, lift your chest up a little bit more. Straighten your arms. And then stand up. Bring your arms to your sides. Tadasana. For this next pose, again, you might need the wall to help with balance. If you do, use it. You can also use a chair. If the wall's like kind of far away and you aren't practicing near it, you can always have a chair nearby and you can use the back of the chair for support. So you might want to try that, touching the wall here. Pick your left knee up. Sorry, pick your right knee up. That's your right knee. Take your left hand, hold outside your right knee. So push into your right knee with your left hand. Push your right leg into your left hand. And then look over your right shoulder. If you're touching the wall, you can stay there. Or take your right hand off the wall and stretch it back. Now, if you're trying that, you'll understand why I said you might want the wall. But that work, that instability, is how we learn to create stability. All the wobbling, twisting, and falling, that's actually getting your muscles to fire up and engage, which is creating more strength. Draw your right hip down. Look to the back of your mat. Look to the right. Come back through center. Bring your right leg down. Stretch your arms at your sides. Tadasana. If you're using the wall, which is a really good thing to use, or a chair, now have it on the left side so that you can use it. I'm going to stay here and attempt this side without the wall for support. Lift your left knee up. Take your right hand and hold outside your left leg. Push your left leg into your right hand. Push your right hand into your left leg. So have a nice amount of resistance there. Either touch the wall with your left hand and look to the wall or chair, or if you can bring your left hand off the wall, stretch it back behind you, maybe even look over your left shoulder. What's happening at the front is really important. Push your right hand into your left leg. Push your left leg back into your right hand. That's going to help find stability. Draw your left hip down. This is called Parivrtta Hasta Paragustasana. Fancy name. Means revolved hand to foot pose. So that tells you eventually this is done with your left leg straight, holding your foot. They get kind of crazy. Come back to center, untwist, shake it off. You can play shoulders, shake it off, get your calf muscles a little relaxed, because we've got to keep going. I'm going to face you. You can stand facing whichever direction you like. Vrikshasana is tree pose. Turn your right leg out, lift your heel up. And then bring your heel in to touch your ankle. It's a lot of body parts to think about. Bring your left hand onto your waist. So this is a good spot for tree pose, but if you'd like to bring it a little bit further, you can bring your right foot up and push it into your left calf muscle. So the arch of your sole of your left foot fits quite nicely into your calf muscle here. You can also go further and bring your foot all the way above your knee, but that's a big jump. Don't jump. It's a big leap from being below your knee to above your knee. But do not have your right foot pushing into your left knee. Your knee joint is a hinge joint. It goes backwards and forwards. Doesn't do well going sideways. So you've got to get your foot all the way above your knee. You can see what I've done. I've reached in and grabbed my right ankle to help me pick it up. You can always do that. I'm going to go a bit lower, but not onto my knee. I think I made that point clear. Hands to hips. And again, stability, as you can see if you're watching me, stability can be tough here. So you can always get the chair nearby or do this at the wall so that you can touch the wall with one of your hands. Or bring both hands to your heart. Push your left leg into your right foot and then stretch out to the inside of your right thigh. Stretch your right knee out to the right. If you're feeling stable, you can stretch your arms up overhead here, but I'm not giving out bonus points today, and I can't see what you're doing anyway. So do your best. Do what's appropriate. If it's hands to heart, do that. If it's touching the wall, do that. And smile and steady your breath. Vrikshasana, tree pose. And then come out. Bring your right leg down, shake it off. And then left leg. Turn your left foot out, left knee out, lift your left heel. Touch your left heel to the inside of your right ankle. And then stay here. Or bring your left foot onto your right calf muscle. Bring your right hand onto your waist. Vrikshasana, tree pose. This is a really good spot to be. Stability can be hard even here for me. So it's, do what's right. Don't feel like, oh, I have to go further because Steven's lifting his foot up. Partly I'm doing that so you can see what to do. Lift your left foot up if you want to go higher. You can always grab your left ankle here so that you can place your left foot above your right knee. You can bring it up as high as you can on your inner right thigh. As high as you can. And then do hands to hips, or touching the wall for support, or hands to heart in prayer. Push your right leg into your left foot. Push your left foot into your right leg. And stretch out through your inner left thigh. Stretch out through your left knee. And if you're feeling stable, you have the option of stretching your arms up. Vrikshasana, tree pose. Steady your breath. And lower your arms, lower your leg. Tadasana. If you're using a mat, do what I'm doing. Stand in the middle of your mat, facing the long edge of your mat. If you're not using a mat, just have enough space that you can step your feet wide. And then step your feet wide. Now, how wide? It depends on your flexibility. It depends on your stability. But as a good guide to know where to go to eventually in your practice, have your ankles working towards being as wide as your wrists when your arms are stretched out to your sides. So when my arms are stretched out to my sides, I want my ankles as wide as my wrists. Now, I have been practicing yoga for many years, so that's natural to me. You can definitely have your feet closer together. That might be a little more stability for you. It might just make your nervous system a little more calm, and that's fine. Push down through your right heel. Turn your right toes forward 45 degrees. So that's halfway to right foot straight. Push down through your right heel. Turn your right toes forward halfway. Push the ball of your right foot down. Lift your right heel up, turn it in 45 degrees. And then have your right foot straight forward. So if you need to adjust a little bit, if the 45 degrees weren't exact, totally fine. This isn't math class. Keep your left foot straight, so straight in the opposite direction. So your feet are perpendicular to each other. And then bend into your right knee. Push down through your feet and bend into your right knee a little bit more. Just like in tree pose, stretch through your inner right thigh and stretch your right knee out, forward. Your tendency might be to reach forward here. Instead, work to have your torso coming straight up out of your hips. Push down through your left foot so you can stretch out through your inner right thigh a little bit more. This is called Warrior 2 or Virabhadrasana 2. We're working to right knee over your right ankle eventually. It can definitely be behind your right ankle here, but we don't want right knee beyond your right ankle. So if you're doing that, it means that your stance is a little bit short. So you have two options. I'll shorten my stance a little. So instead of being here, back off, or widen your stance a little bit. Turn your right palm up, and reverse warrior. Reach your right arm up and back, take your left hand and slide it down your left leg. But don't push into your left leg with your left hand, just use it there for guidance and stability. Stretch your right knee forward, stretch out through your inner right thigh, and reach your right arm back, curl your torso back. This is called reverse warrior. And again, remember, don't push with your left hand, because that's going to push your knee sideways, and we learned in tree that our body doesn't like that. You come up to warrior 2. You probably learned it a while ago that your body didn't like that. Bend your right arm, and then lean onto your right thigh. Take your left palm, turn it up this time, and then stretch your left arm long. If your shoulder doesn't like that, you can stretch straight up, or keep going and stretch out overhead. Then think about your right knee. You can even look down at it. Bend into your right knee so it's over your right ankle, or as best as you can do. To help with stability, push through your left foot, push with your right arm, and then twist. By pushing with your right arm, twist your spine to the left. Look up if that's available. This is called side angle pose, or extended side angle, Pita Parsvakonasana. And then turn forward. Reach your left arm down to the ground. Bring your left heel off the ground. Bring your right hand down to the ground. You don't have to do that as slowly as I did. It can be hard to find the balance there. Walk your right foot over to the right a little bit. Lunge. Look forward. It can be a lot of work to have your left knee off the ground here, so you're always welcome to bring your left knee down to the ground here. This we call low lunge, and knee up we call high lunge. So choose low lunge or high lunge. Place your left hand flat on the ground. Look to the right. And remember, you can always bring your left knee down if once we do this, it's too much to have it off the ground. Lift your right arm up. Revolved lunge. Stretch your right knee forward. Reach through your right arm. Look up. Even move your chest forward some, so you do a little back bend. And breathe. And then bring your right hand down. Come up onto your fingertips on both hands, and bring your left knee down. Push down through your feet, lift your torso up. Bring your hands in front of your heart, and twist to the right. If you can hook your left arm outside your right leg, lean in and do. Push and twist. If it's not available, you can take, instead of hands in prayer, take your right hand and push it into your right thigh and twist. So keep your left hand like it's in prayer in front of your heart. And instead of touching your right leg with your left arm, simply twist. Twisted lunge. If you're feeling stable, you can bring your left knee off the ground here. Untwist, bring your hands down to the ground. Then step forward and stand up. Step forward and stand up. Steady your breath. Now that coming from being low to standing up, when you're dealing with low blood pressure, that can be challenging. Just take the time you need to regulate your blood pressure, to regulate your breath, to regulate your energy. And then we're going to do all of those poses on the other side. So step your feet wide. Stretch your arms out to your side so you can see. Are my ankles as wide as my wrists? And they don't have to be today. I just want you to know where we're going eventually. Push down through your left heel. Sorry, I just needed to adjust a little. Push down through your left heel. Turn your left toes forward 45 degrees. Push down through the ball of your left foot. Turn your left heel in 45 degrees. And then straighten your left foot so it's pointing straight out. Have your right foot straight so it's perpendicular to your left foot. Warrior two. Bend into your left knee. You can start by bending a little and then setting up, pushing through your right foot. Lift up through your torso and then bend into your left knee more. Look at your left knee. It's going to want to go to the right here. Think about tree pose and stretch through your inner left thigh and stretch out through your left knee. And again, tendency here is to lean forward. Instead, pull back through your right wrist. Stretch up through your spine. Work to have your torso coming up out of your pelvis, out of your hips. But also look forward. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Use your right foot, push down for stability. Stretch out through your inner left thigh. Stretch your knee straight ahead. And reverse warrior. Turn your left palm up and reverse your warrior. Slide your right hand down your right leg. Curl back. Reach your left arm back. Stretch your spine back and look up. And again, remember that your right hand is just there for guidance. Don't push down into your leg or your knee. Think about your left knee though, your front knee. Stretch it straight ahead rather than letting it get a little lazy and go off to the right. Breathe. And then come up into Warrior 2, just for a moment. Bend your left elbow. Lean onto your left thigh. Rest your left forearm on your thigh, push down. Look at your right hand. Turn your right palm up, and either stretch your right arm straight up, or keep going overhead and stretch out long through your right arm. Push down through your left leg, stretch out through your right arm and your right leg. Push with your left arm so you can turn your chest open to the right and maybe even up towards the ceiling a little. Extended side angle pose. Vajrasana. Steady your breath. And next up is the lunge. Bring your right hand down to the ground. Lift your right heel, bring your left hand down to the ground. Walk your left foot over a little, and then set it up. Square your hips towards the top of your mat. Look forward and lift your chest. You can keep your right knee off the ground, or bring your right knee to the ground. Your choice. Place your right hand flat on the ground. Just a very little bit. Turn your right hand out to the right. Very little. Not like fingers all the way out to the side, but just turn it a little, rather than fingers straight ahead. Push through your right hand, stretch your left arm up, and twist to the left. Revolved lunge. So I'm doing this with my right knee on the ground, because I did it off the ground on the other side, and I want you to see what it's like on this side with knee down. But you can do this with your right knee off the ground, if that's more where you are in your practice today. Revolved lunge. Come back to regular lunge. Come up onto your fingertips. And everybody bring your right knee down to the ground. Just because I know the twist is really tough to find our balance in. Push through your feet, push to lift, and bring your hands to your heart. Twist to the left, lean in a little and hook your right arm outside your left leg. Stretch out through your elbows. Look to the left, or even look up over your left shoulder. Again, if you can't hook your right arm into your right leg, that's no problem. You're still a great person. Just take your left hand and push into your push into your left leg and twist your upper body without hooking your arm. Keep your right elbow bent. Do like half prayer hand, so you're getting a lot of the shape of the same as other people are doing, but it doesn't have to be the full shape. It's your practice. If you want to bring your right knee off the ground here, you can. No bonus points, remember. You get a gold star for doing what's appropriate for you. And then come back to center. Bring your hands down to the ground. If your knee is on the ground, bring it off the ground. Step forward and stand up. You can take as many steps as you need to get forward and stand up. Take it slow and steady as you stand up because your heart is pretty low at that point. And come up to stand. And sit down. You may want your cushion again. Here, I'm going to use it because I like to model a good example. And I recommend sitting on a cushion here. If sitting on the ground is hard for you, these next few poses are going to be challenging to do in a chair, but you could do them sitting on a bed. So that's an option. Do what I'm doing. Stretch your left leg out, bend your right leg, bring it in, and like tree pose, bring your right foot inside your left leg. So it's very similar to tree, but we're seated. Turn and face your left leg. Walk your hands out along your left leg. Keep your left leg straight. Pull on your left leg. Stretch long through your spine. If you can keep your torso upright and your left leg straight while you walk your hands closer to your foot, you can do that. Some of you might be flexible enough in your hamstrings and in your hips that you can hold your left foot and keep your head above your heart. And keep your left leg straight. Virabhadrasana. This pose goes further in some practices and you fold over your leg, but we're not doing that because we're working to keep our head above our heart. So you can hold your foot with your left leg straight, you can hold your leg with your left leg straight, keep your spine lengthening. Keep your left heel on the ground, steady your breath. Virabhadrasana. And then sit up and go to the other side. Open your right leg, bend your left leg, bring your left foot inside your right leg. Turn and face your right leg, twist to face your right leg, and then hold your right leg somewhere. The important thing is to keep your right leg straight and to keep your spine long. So right now I'm holding just below my knee, but I know I can walk a little closer to my ankle and find that length from my spine and keep my right leg straight. So I do. You do you, as the kids say. Do what is appropriate for you here. If you can reach your right foot with your right leg straight, spine lengthening still, you may. That's going to give you more opportunity to stretch your hamstrings, even to engage your quads, to stretch your spine. But I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that if you have to bend your knee. I don't want you to do that if you have to bring your head below your heart. Pull on your leg, lengthen through your spine. And smile. Why not? Sit up. Now we're going to stretch both legs out in front of us. So I'm just going to shift a little, turn to the right. If you're sitting on a cushion, stay sitting on the cushion. Stretch both legs out. Bend your left leg. Cross your left foot over your right leg. So pick it up at the ankle and shin. Bring it over your right foot. Over your right leg. That's your leg. That's your foot. Now I know. Take your left hand back behind you. Touch the ground back behind you. Take your right arm and hook it outside your left leg. So it doesn't have to be like outside, but push into it. And then twist a little to the left. Move your shoulders back, just like we did in our seated twist at the beginning. And also, just like we did at the beginning, stretch up long through your spine. Don't crank it in the twist. Make it a nice, gentle, loving twist for your spine. Think about your straight leg and work to keep it straight. Work to keep your knee and your toes facing up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then come back to center. Bring your left leg up and over your right. Stretch your left leg out. Bend your right leg. I like hand on the shin and ankle to pick it up, cross it over my left leg. And then take your right hand back behind you. Hook your left arm onto your right leg and twist. This is called Ardha Matsyendrasana. Move your shoulders back. Lengthen through your spine and do a gentle twist. In Sanskrit, Ardha, A-R-D-H-A is how we spell that, means half. So I call this sort of as a little bit of a joke, Ardha Matsyendrasana, because the full pose is called Ardha Matsyendrasana, which means half Matsyendra's pose. He was a character in the Hindu lore. But this is half of that pose. So I call it Ardha, half Matsyendra's pose. Sometimes I use this technique called the distraction technique, where I tell you things you don't necessarily need to know, just so you stay working. Come back to center, untwist, uncross your left leg, your right leg, and stretch your right leg out in front of you. Have both legs straight now. Place your hands on the ground. So if you're sitting on something just in front of it, or if you can't reach the ground there, you can always push into what you're sitting on. If, like mine, it comes out beside you. And this is the pose. It's called Dandasana. Stick your butt back a little. Stretch up through your spine. Now take one hand and touch your lower back. If you can feel your vertebrae sticking out, bend your knees and bring your heels in a little and work to get your vertebrae to move forward and go into your lower back. Move the front of your ribs back. That can help too. And sit up. That's working towards the natural curves of our lower back. It's one of the reasons we are sitting on something here. And then touch the ground. Work to keep that shape in your lower back. Arch your lower back a little. Move the front of your ribs back and lengthen through your spine. It's Dandasana whether your legs are straight or your knees are bent. You're going to get the benefit of the work for your spine if you do what's appropriate for you. And then relax, because that's a lot. Now you have two choices here, well, three choices. You can sit in a chair, you can sit cross-legged as we did at the beginning, or you can sit in a pose called Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose. Now, this is a pose we haven't done in class today. You can do it in a couple of different ways. So if you're using a blanket or a bolster, you can do it so that your ankles are on the bolster and you sit down on your heels. That's nice for the front of your ankles if you're not used to this shape in your ankles. But you also don't have to use a prop here, and you can remove the prop completely and sit down on your heels with the front of your ankles on the ground, if that's available to you. They're all Vajrasana. So you can sit here, you can sit on your prop, cross-legged, or you can sit on a chair. Since I'm here, I'm going to stay here. Sukhasana, or easy pose, comfortable pose. Look down at the ground. Come back to your breath. Steady your breath. And that's our practice. Stay here for a few minutes, or I will put up on the screen here an option for a meditation practice if you'd like to do that, or go about the rest of your day. At the end of class, we often say namaste. Simple translation I like is I see you. And even though I can't see you across the ether, across the digital world, I know you're there, and I see you. Bring your hands together in prayer, or don't. Namaste. Thanks for joining me for class. I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like to wrap up your practice with meditation, here's a short meditation of mine that I think will go really well with this practice. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please just click on my picture over there to subscribe and you'll get notifications when I post new classes. Thanks, Omis. Have a good day.